Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of your favorite podcast, Actors Endurance, with the dopest host in the game, Shanette Wilson, and the great, put some great on his name, y'all, on the great Marlon Hargrave. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Yes, welcome back, everybody. We love to have you. And on the slate today, very excited about this one. Today, we have a filmmaker, author, and professor, best known for directing the BET original film, The Sound of Christmas, starring Neo. He's also the author of the critically acclaimed novel, Unsigned Hype. Let's give our flowers to the renowned Booker T Mattison. Yes.
Woo, 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 woo. Give it up, y'all. Give it up.
When we get an applause machine and all that other stuff, we'll pipe that on through there. But for right now, this is all we got. But we're giving it all to you, Booker.
Look, I appreciate the use of the word renowned. That's applause enough. So thank you for that.
All right.
Yo, you've done a whole lot in your career. And real quick, everybody, if you have not, like, follow, subscribe, go ahead and do all those great things. And Booker, the first question I want to ask you, what has been the key to maintaining your longevity in this industry?
I would say it's an inability to quit. There have been numerous instances, times, seasons where I'm like, you know what, I'm done, you know. And as a creative, I think that most of us are emotional. We deal with these peaks and valleys, emotion wise, and you throw in the towel, but then the idea comes. So what do? You engage it, you develop it, an opportunity comes. What do? You take advantage of it. So I would have to say it's an inability to throw in the towel, even whenever everything inside of me wanted to. So, I can't say that I have some, grand plan, or my mental toughness was such that it was consistent throughout. It absolutely was not. But thankfully, ideas and opportunities sustained me in those times whenever I thought that I was done.
Wow. Now you mentioned an inability. I've never heard anyone say an inability, like I can't fail. Where does that come from? I mean, you hear it in the other way, like, oh, I can't fail, but like an inability to fail, it must be a lot of pressure. Where does that come from?
Sure. Well, so we always talk about passive protagonist as opposed to active protagonist, passive voice, active voice. It's intentionally passive precisely because I can't say that, I'm so strong and such a visionary and so tough, that I can't, because I did. It's just that, for me as a person of faith, I feel like I was put on this earth and created to do this. So even whenever, I wanted to give up, that's whenever, those things came that helped me. So it wasn't just me. It was, some people say universe. I say God, that equips and empowers. And, there's a scripture that says that our weakness, he's strong whenever we are weak. So his strength is made perfect in our weakness. So I think that's probably why I phrase it the way that I did.
Oh, very interesting. I think I made, so if you hear me use it, I stole it from you. I'm gonna give you the credit. So don't worry about it.
It's all
That's
good. Look, steal away if it helps you, if it helps someone else. You know what I mean? I mean, ideas are that's our currency. We're creative people. That's what we live and die by, is ideas. Some of them we keep for ourselves. Others we help, our colleagues develop their own. So use it.
Mhm.
all right. Well, I'm gonna back you up a little bit. Let's go back to NYU days. I think we both had hair back then. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Oh, to have a hairline again.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that was many, many moons. I think I lost my hair in New York. I may have been losing my hair when I met you actually. But So
And
you're
look, we were in New York at the same time, and we met after we had both left, which is kind of crazy because we knew some of the same people, which is wild.
yes, yes, yes. Right. They say it's a small world, right? Very, very small world. And I actually got to know you a little bit more in Virginia.
Right.
That was you were already you were a professor at Regent, right? Was
Yep,
it?
at Regent. Yep.
And did you run that whole program?
No, look, to be candid, being a professor was not something that I ever anticipated doing. You know, it wasn't until I was at Hampton where I went after Regent that I said, "Oh, wait a minute, this is actually a career." So no, no, I've never had a desire, one, to teach, and two, certainly not to be an administrator, because even now, you know, as a tenured professor at the University of Georgia, you know, I teach two classes 2 days a week. That's full time for me, but the rest of the time I'm writing, directing, pitching. So, you know, those who are administrators, that's cool. God bless them. I just don't know how you can teach, be an administrator, and create. I mean, that's just a lot of work.
That is a lot.
Wow. Oh, sorry, I never thought about that. What session that?
Yeah, I said, yeah, that is a lot. That is a whole lot. Yeah.
Look, it's hard enough for me to run my life, let alone run a department.
So you would have been responsible for the entire film department?
Well, so the chair of a department, and really it depends on the university or the college where you are, because you know sometimes the dean may be, you know, maybe a place with a strong dean, maybe a place with a strong chair. Where I am now at the University of Georgia, it's a strong chair. So, you know, the chair of the department, I'm in the Department of Entertainment and Media Studies, and I teach directing and screenwriting. But the chair of the department is presiding over, you know, the budget, you know, the curriculum, the classes, the professors. It's just a lot. And truthfully, I can't say that that's something that I have any interest in because, you know, I'm trying to get stuff made. I'm trying to, you know, get stuff written, get stuff directed. So, and again, hey, every place needs administrators. I'm just not one of them.
Well, know thyself, as we say in this business, know thyself. You'll be 10 times happier. You know, a lot of people would have probably just tried to take the money or something like that, or looked at the money in a situation. I ask artists all the time, you know, how do you how do you look at something and say, okay, you have your money, but then you have what you really want to do?
Yeah.
Is that a tough balance for you, or because you know we're
Yeah.
looking at priorities?
That's an excellent question. And you know, I have to say that, you know, look, I'll be 54 later this month. You know, I've been around the block a few times. And at this point in my life, you know, with a wife and four kids, three of whom, well, two of whom who are in college and one who's a senior in high school, you know, it's like money talks and everything else walks. You know, the pure artistry and doing it for, you know, opportunity and all those kinds of things. That stuff works in your 20s. And again, this is my philosophy, you know. I'm sure people have a different opinion. But no, I mean, I have to make money because I have bills to pay. You know, I have mouths to feed. I have, you know, shoes to buy, you know, gas to put in the car. But, you know, when I was single and you know, didn't have kids and, you know, living in Harlem paying 900 a month, you know, back in the 90s, you know, I could make those kinds of decisions. And here's something you'll appreciate related to what you're saying. So my first novel, which you referenced, Unsigned Hype, that was optioned, I think that was back in 2010. But the individuals that optioned it, they optioned the book and not me. So I wrote both of my novels for the purpose of adapting them into films, but it was this big debate in my mind. Okay, you know they want to option the book, but they don't want me to write the script and direct the movie. So it was this huge, you know, battle within my mind. I eventually said, okay, yes, let me go with the option. But something like that now, it wouldn't even be a concern. Like, you know, I'm a writer director. If I wrote a script now and somebody came at me and they wanted to buy it and they didn't want me to direct it, if the price is right, that script is gone. What do I'm going to turn down an opportunity? You know, that doesn't make sense to me. And I feel like when you fall in love with projects or you have limited projects, I think those kinds of decisions can be tougher for you. This is the only script. This is my baby. I write. I have a preponderance of ideas. So no, those issues aren't a concern of mine. I will say something that's something that could present a challenge is uh, content and expectations because there's certain types of films, television shows that I respect the power of what media does, the influence that it has on people. So, what I write and what I direct and the messages and the images that I depict, that's very important. And those are things that, I can't put a price tag on.
Yeah. You do a lot. And I'm wondering, how do you even balance all this? Because you have, like you said, a wife, a kid, you have you teach, you're directing, you're writing. Like how do you balance all these?
Not very well, to be candid. So, this past summer was one of the best summers of my life, and it's not because I did anything sexy, as it were. I did a whole lot of nothing because, writing and directing three features in the last 3 years and being a full-time professor and, having a family, I had to just do a lot of nothing because, your body keeps score, your mind keeps score. I was mentally, physically, and emotionally exhausted. And you all are artists, how much of our emotion we put into what we do. So it's not just, the mental part, it's not just the physical part and even the spiritual part, it's an emotional component. So I was completely spent. So yeah, I can't say that I've done a great job. And I'm not even going back to Marlon's initial question. It's like, there's no master plan because if there's a master plan, wouldn't have had to kind of take myself out for 2.5 months and do nothing. But here's the other part, which is connected to the last question that Marlon asked. I'm not in a position where I can turn down work either. So thankfully nothing came to me this summer because there's no way that I would have been able to say no. I would have just had to suck it up. Come on, you both, I'm sure, have been in those places like, oh man, I need a break. I've been booking, booking, booking. I need a break. And you know that you need a break. But then the opportunity comes and it's an opportunity that you can't turn down. So what do? You take the opportunity. So I don't balance it very well. I am grateful that presently I'm writing, and of course the semester is happening now, so I'm teaching as well. So I'm glad I don't have anything popping right this second. So I don't have anything lined up right now. I mean, my next film comes out in March, but we finished that movie back in June.
Wow. Appreciate your honesty there. That's very, very candid. A lot of people would try to probably put on a face there, but and it is tough because we'll go through and someone will kind of give the easy road to something, and when people get there, it's twice as discouraging because you think that it was something that it wasn't. So your honesty is definitely appreciated. But I'd like to ask you something a little bit on the lighter side, and we'll get back to some heavier stuff. But if your life was a film,
Hmm.
what would be your big plot twist?
That's a great question. I think the plot twist would be at my age and looking at my resume, as it were, that would be the major plot twist because I thought that by the time I would be my age, 53, that I would have a whole lot more going on than I actually do.
Hmm.
And that's something that I've made peace with, I would say, probably in the last, I don't know, maybe probably the last 3 to 4 years recently. That would absolutely be I never thought about it that way, the way you phrased the question, but that would absolutely be the plot twist because, when I was young and gung ho and arrogant, to be frank, You know, I just knew by the time I was come on 53. Oh man, I would probably had a couple of Oscars by now. Uh, Homes in multiple states, you know, independently wealthy. And of course, none of those things are the case right now.
Wow. You know, I think that they say 80% of the people never become stars, but 80 is still about 60% of us still work, you
Yeah.
know, and it's crazy, crazy numbers, but that's it for us, you know. My dreams were lofty when I met you, boy, arrogance. Ooh, man. Wow. Wow, boy, I was arrogant. But life has a tendency to humble you, and then you hit that crossroad of, yeah, that crossroad hits of, is it really in my heart or am I going to roll out? And
That's right.
that's why we have this podcast, because all of us have had our lumps and bruises, and there's so many of us out there that just keep going every day. And we, you know, we just want everyone to know that look, if we look at your resume, people would say, "Oh my God, he's made. He worked with Neil. He did this." When I met you, you were working with Tim Reid,
Yeah.
big dog. You know, and I grew up on Tim Reid. Like that was he was a major guy. So it's great to kind of see and kind of pull the veil down. But I mean, that was a hype project. Like y'all had the makeup and it was a short, right? A short
Yep.
film.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, that
Tim
was
Reid,
dope.
Chad L. Coleman, Jamie Hector,
Wow,
Chamberlain. Yeah, that was a pretty that and actually, believe it or not, that film is called Habeas Corpus. That film has won more awards than any of my other films, believe it or not. So
wow.
yeah, that's
It was
my
deep though. It was deep.
yeah.
That joint was deep. That it was like dark. Uh, I can't describe it because it was dark. It wasn't a horror, but it was
It was
compelling.
magic. It was magical realism, and for those who haven't seen it, it's called Habeas Corpus, and it's on my Vimeo page. If you go to what is it, Vimeo.com/ Booker T Mattison, Mattison. But it's the story of a man who can't get over the death of his father, so he steals his body from the funeral home. So it's yeah, it's the log line is as crazy as the movie. So Marlon is right. It's also my most polarizing film too. I'll say that in that people either love it or when it's over, they're like, "What did I just watch? What was this?" So it's very, very polarizing. Also, so yeah.
And
But
you know what?
look, I'm proud of the work. I'm proud of the work despite it being polarizing because it is what it is.
I wonder just off of that, because I thought about that back then. I wonder if it was because we don't see ourselves in that kind of light.
Mm.
Like I had to step back and look and be like, it was almost like the DC snipers finding out they were black. You're like, oh snap. Oh, so we do stuff like this. So that I think that struck me, but I was happy for it because I think that we need to break these barriers a little bit, or at least break some of the stereotypes down and some of the things that we avoid talking about. There are a lot of taboo things in our culture that we don't talk about, and we should.
Hmm.
So that's what I thought this film or that film was back then. And still haven't seen anything quite like it. So
Mm.
kudos to you and being bold enough to do it at Regent too. I was like, man, this dude is swinging for the park on this one, boy.
You know what's also interesting, if I might add, that so I teach production courses, but also teach like film analysis courses as well. And habeas corpus, whenever I have students analyze that film, it's some of the richest analysis that students do of any film, that I show. So it's, that film is, and I think it's a good film. I do. I mean, it's not without its flaws, obviously, it's art. But though it's my most, awarded film, it's also the most polarizing. And though people either, hate it or love it, whenever students analyze it, students, not professionals, students, I mean, it's really, really rich, the things that they see and point out.
That's good. Well, I look forward to watching it myself. I haven't seen it yet, but I definitely look forward to it, especially after seeing Marlon's facial expressions. You know, it's got to be something.
Look, she'll hit me on IG and be like, well, you know, the wide eye emoji is like, well, you know, well, probably not now because the element of surprise has been removed. So you're going into it kind of expecting, okay, something's going to be a little, you know. So if you might think it's cool. You might think it's cool at this point. Well, I hope you think it's cool. And you know what? If you don't, I appreciate candor more than anything. You know, like so I'll show, like in my screenwriting class, for example. I'll show, you know, like whatever it is that I'm teaching them, I'll show them, you know, my actual stuff, you know, be it a log line, a beat sheet, whatever the case may be. I'll show them, you know, my films. And we analyze it according to what I'm teaching them. So it's not like, you know, I'm like, oh no, I can break down your work, but you can't break down mine. So I mean, if you love it, hey, great. I'd love to hear it. If you don't, that's cool too. I'd love to hear that too.
So
Mhm.
have your students, since you've been doing this, have you taken the advice of your students, or have you kind of approached your work differently from maybe something that a student said or suggested?
Oh,
Mhm.
always. So I don't forget the exact thing, but for my last film, Twisted Marriage Therapist, which came out in September of 2023. It's a
Oh,
Tubi original film. I forget what it was. So, you know, I was writing the script. So if I'm writing a script while I'm teaching screenwriting, you know, I'm essentially doing a lot of the same things that they're doing because I teach according to my way of doing things. I mean, there's a gazillion ways to write, there's a gazillion ways to direct. So there were I forget, there were a couple of ideas, you know, whenever I'm sharing work that I use. I don't remember what they were specifically. So the answer to your question is absolutely, because if you have a good idea, you don't have to be a professor to have a good idea. You're an audience person. You're a person who loves stories, who loves cinema. You're a student of the human condition. We're all human beings. So absolutely, a good idea can come from anywhere.
Mhm. Now,
nice.
ask you. Let me ask you this: you are connected to a lot of people, and you've done some amazing things throughout your career. What have you done to cultivate these relationships with all these different people and networks and?
These are good. These are really good questions. So, one of them I have, I call them, you know, my greatest hits. You know, things that I say in class. But one of them is relationship capital is more valuable than any currency. And it's really recognizing that people, you know, relationships, that's more valuable than anything. And also, for me, relationships precede business. So I like to work with people over and over again. I'm always looking for a squad, as it were. That doesn't always work out, but it's really valuing individuals, valuing relationships, recognizing the importance of collaboration because it's a collaborative art, you know, film and television production. And you know, even when I was arrogant, to be honest with you, you know, I was a person who always had a deep respect for my colleagues, my classmates, people who were doing it. And that's just, I think that probably goes back to the way that I was raised because, you know, my parents raised me well. They raised me, you know, you're not better than anyone, but no one's better than you either. And you respect people, and that I've come up doing that. And you know, I often say in class too that we don't forsake home training just because we happen to be on a set, you know, or we work for a network or a streamer. It seems like we kind of forget those things. You know, oh, I'm making a movie or I'm a producer or whatever, so I can be a jerk. You know, I mean, well, you know, a whole lot of people do that. That's just not the way that I roll. And I also recognize too that the same person that you meet on the way up, you're going to meet on the way down. They're going to be in charge of something that you want. So you need to govern your life accordingly, so that you don't put yourself in a position where, you know, you want someone to return your call and they're like, I wish I would. I wish Booker would call me again. I wish Jeanette would call me again. If Marlon ever calls me again, I don't want anyone to say that about me. Oh, Booker call. Okay, you know what? Let me hit him back. You know, that's how I try to live my life.
You are now watching Actors Endurance Podcast, the #1 podcast for the resilient artist.
Okay,
Yes.
Booker. Okay, now be honest. Okay, what is the most diva thing you've ever done, whether it be directing, writing, teaching? When did you have your diva moment, or have you had one?
Yeah, yes. And it was a function of my immaturity, really. And it was when I was younger, rather than nowadays I will address something right away that's troubling me. And I'm a pull you to the side type of person. I don't, it's just like, in elementary school, if there was no crowd around, most of the fights wouldn't happen. So
Right.
I'll pull you aside, and my thing is, if you nip it in the bud, that's a lot less work than pruning. Pruning takes far more effort and is more painful. So without saying any names, I think there were two different projects where in both instances, it was the cinematographer. Wow, interesting. I just realized that. And rather than me addressing what the issues were, I let these things build and build and build and build. And then you're fired,
Oh no.
right? And it's like, can you fire somebody? Yeah. But should you fire someone who you haven't even said anything to them about what the problem is, what the issues are? So in two different instances, I did that. And fortunately, I didn't wind up firing either one of them because, th- th- we were friends, right? So we talked it through, but that was a function of my own immaturity and my own inability to communicate. Um, so yeah, I think that was pretty diva, firing somebody who you didn't even they didn't even have a clue that you even had an issue,
Yeah.
because I'm the master of the poker face. I can mask my emotions, and it's like fired, and that just completely came out of left field. So yeah, so I'm a much better communicator now than I was when I was much younger.
Mm. Oh, that's good. That's
Right.
And you seem like you learned from your diva moment.
Oh my goodness, yes,
That's a
absolutely.
good thing.
Yeah, we're all gonna have them. I think that every actor or entertainer is probably bound for one. Like if you don't have supreme confidence, you really can't be in this game. I don't think that you can be in this game. So yeah, we'll all have one. And speaking of a diva moment, I'm gonna take one right here and tell y'all that you're watching Actors Endurance podcast, home of the resilient artist. So be sure that you hit your mark and follow, like, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. All right, we're gonna get right back into it.
Mm.
This is an interesting question because, oh yes.
Can I share another diva moment?
Oh, absolutely.
Sure.
Please do.
So this one, and again, I'm sharing this because of what I learned as a result of the folly of my actions. This was actually relatively recently. So I'm on a film, and the the actor, and I don't use names because why? I can make a point without using names. So the actor comes to set. We're blocking. It was the biggest scene in the film as far as the number of actors and camera moves and that kind of a thing. So we're already blocking the scene. The actor shows up. So I'm like, hey, uh, hey, come on over. Then the actor is like, good morning to you too. Okay, cool. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. So, okay. So, good morning. Come on over. So we're working, and then seemed like every line, it was like the actor didn't want to say the line this way, or the actor I wouldn't do this, or I don't understand this, and that kind of a thing. Just this back and forth. Like, so finally I said, you know what? Do it however you want it, right? And I walk away. So then each time I call cut, I'm, giving adjustments to, the other actors, and this particular actor is orphaned. And I probably did that maybe three, maybe two setups. And I said to myself, dude, you're sabotaging your own movie, you know? So what did I have to do? I had to humble myself, right? I had to make peace with this actor. How this actor was acting had nothing to do with what I had to do, right? Because I'm not responsible. I can't control that actor. But what I do have to control is the outcome of this film. And film, it's all about the performances. Nobody's coming to a movie to see me. They're not even coming to see my writing. They make an emotional investment in these actors. So, I'm like, you know what? And I lost my cool. And I didn't flip on her or anything like that. But, I was like, you know what? Do it however you want it. And then I just ignored the actor. I almost let the gender pop out, but I don't even want to go that far. I ignored the actor for like two setups, and I said, "Dude, you tripping?" So I had to humble myself and find a way to make that relationship work. And I think that I was successful in doing that. But that was totally a diva move that I had to again. I had to check myself on that.
Wow, that's good.
Wow.
Thank you for sharing that. Because tell me that doesn't happen a lot in this business. You just have no idea who you're gonna encounter. And I mean, we've all experienced it. As soon as you meet somebody, you don't, sometimes you just naturally gel and then sometimes you repel. I mean, and there's nothing that anyone did but just show up and exist. So yeah, it takes a lot and it takes a very mature person to kind of overcome that and focus on the ultimate goal, put your feelings aside and just stick to the work. That's a lot. It's difficult. But that was good though. That was good. Look at you
Yeah.
growing up in adulting and stuff.
You see this? That, look, that's supposed to signal wisdom, but look, we still fall short, right? But so long as we don't repeat mistakes, I think that that's whenever we're in a place of maturity, because we're going to make mistakes. We're human. But so long as you're not repeating those same mistakes,
Yeah,
bro. I'm
exactly.
sorry,
Well,
Mom. Please get back to your other question.
no,
I'm taking us back.
I actually love it because we do want to get back to the community out here, and I like that you're pulling the veil down all over the place because if you ask people about our craft, the impressions that people have, like the memes, that's like what people think versus what it really is,
Right.
and when you listen to what people think, it's like, wow, you are so far from the truth. And I think that people are like, lights, camera, action, everybody's having all of this fun. It's like, hell no, man. You're working 14 to 16-hour days, and you as a director, which is what I love, because we may hear of an actor's day, we don't hear of a director's day that started 4 or 5 hours before the actors even woke up.
Yeah.
It's and that, I think, with people who just want to do film, it's like, yeah, but do you understand it's an art to this? You have to do time. You have to put, all of these things together. So just absolutely great, absolutely great. So what I was going to say back then was what kind, and this is a digression, of course, but interested to know what kind of environment brings out the best in you as an artist.
One where people do their job and I don't have to say anything to them because I'm going to do my job. I'm going to do my job. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go above and beyond with my job. And I don't expect you to do that because that was even a function when I was younger. It's like if they weren't as crazy as I was, I thought there was something wrong with them, which is also a function of immaturity, right? But do your job. You're hired to do a job. I try to do a great job of making expectations clear so that we're on the same page because you can be using the same term and it means something different to someone, or you may be expecting something from someone and they're not. But do your job, allow me to do mine, because so long as we are doing our job, that's the essence of collaboration, is everyone doing their job. And that's when we can arrive at that place of unity. And with art, the greater the degree of unity, the higher the art. So do your job. And then you know what I'm doing then? I'm creating, I'm thinking, I'm whatever it is I have to be doing. I'm not correcting, I'm not challenging, I'm just doing. And that's what I want people to do also.
In a perfect world only, though, boy, I tell you. Seems to be always one, right?
Yes.
Oh man. No, let me ask you this. Where do you see, well, excuse me, what are you like mostly excited about when it comes to the future of this film business?
I don't know the answer to that question because there's so much uncertainty. Um, but specifically for me, I believe that no matter, well, I do believe that technology is undefeated, so we have to adapt. Um, but no matter how film and television production is done, no matter where it's being done, you're still going to need storytellers. So, that's what I am ultimately, is a storyteller. And, even if we think about like music production and what the sampler did to music production, back in my day, I mean, I was born in 1970. If you wanted to make music back in the day, oh, your homeboy was on drums, your other homie played sax, this one played, rhythm guitar, lead guitar. And then once you add the sampler and synthesizers come in, the biggest producers in the world is one person in a room playing all those instruments, themselves. I'm not convinced that, film and television production is not going to go that way because of the way technology is. You're not going to have, we could probably look back and say, man, you had all those people on a set. Why did you need all those people? Just like, you see those old school 70s videos and the band, it's like 15, 20 people on stage. It used to be backup singers. Now everyone they loop, right? They do the loops and multi-tracking. But despite whatever technology is going to shake out as far as the process, storytellers will still be needed. And that's what I see myself as. And I also don't have any intentions of retiring. I don't see a day where I'm like, hey, I don't want to tell stories anymore. I'm too old to tell stories. As long as someone is willing to one, either hire me or I have the means to do it myself, I'll be telling stories literally until I croak. And that excites me because I don't have to worry about a time when I'm not telling stories and I'm not utilizing my gifts, um, or a time when I'm, just sedentary and just, hey, I'm not doing anything. I'm just this old dude at the crib, doing nothing, or I don't know, eating, I don't know what. But yeah, working for me is something that I see myself doing until I'm physically or mentally not able to.
Have you embraced ChatGPT?
What
That's right.
100%, 100%. I mean, it's a great tool, and like so, my daughter is a junior film and television production major at Georgia Gwinnett College, which is like 5 minutes from my house. And I tell her, like I tell all my students, learn everything you can about the technology and then innovate in that space. Something else that I'm telling my students a lot now because of the contraction in the industry and so much production being done outside of the country now is, you know, innovate. How can you be a disruptor? How can you innovate? Perhaps the thing that you want to do, that job doesn't yet exist, but you can be that person that creates that, and think about ways that you can innovate so that you are then an employer, not just an employee, because we're oriented towards let me get a good job. Even in this industry, we're not trying to get 9 to 5 jobs at a factory. We're trying to get a job that will help us to, get in the union, pay our dues, pay our bills. But innovation, and you can't innovate if you're not aware of what's happening technologically in your area of expertise.
Now,
I agree.
where do you stay abreast on like all the news and things that are going on? Do you go to like the regular Deadline and Variety, or do you have other places that you go to keep up with everything?
What I love about this thing is, my news feed, I have like, I mean, I can, as you all too, we can literally read, trade publications, newspapers, articles, posts from around the world, which is really cool. But the dailies is something that I subscribe to. If you all don't know that, oh, you probably
Oh,
know. The
Okay,
dailies
that's
is cool because it's just a quick, you know, snapshot of what's happening with links to, and that's one thing. Of course, I subscribe to all the trades, and I'm constantly reading news articles, not even just specific to film and TV, because as a writer and a director, I'm a student of the human condition. I have to know everything about everything because I create worlds.
yeah, that's
You
true.
know, so I'm constantly on my phone reading articles, which keeps me sharp as both a storyteller and, as far as what's happening. Oh, another thing too is these what are these things called? Let me pull it up. Substacks reads. Um, I get these what do you call these things? these people that do these newsletters. What is it called? On and they put it on. So I get all these different. I guess it's Substack. Yeah,
It's
I
like
get
a
all these
thread.
different. What'd you say? What'd you say, Marlon?
It's they have a new thing called threads. I'm not sure if that's
No, no,
it.
not Threads. I'm subscribed to that, but I don't use that. But yeah, I guess it's Substack. But people, these different people have these different newsletters that they send out. So it's all these different people that I don't even know, and it's almost like this rabbit hole of clicking, and everyone is cool and has interesting things to say. So yeah, I subscribe to one for AI and technology, another for film and TV production. So yeah, I'm constantly reading and always looking for new opportunities to connect with people who are saying cool things.
Wow. Yeah, we like that because I'm 1972, so I'm 1970 as well. Let me
Yeah,
put it that.
you're a '70s baby, so you know the deal.
Yes, yes, and it was hard. Honestly, it's harder for us to adapt to something that we didn't even grow up with. Like we didn't grow up with a computer, so all of this social media and online stuff, uh, it takes a lot to get used to in this, but we have to be like water because if we're going to be in this business in this day and age, we still have to survive with being able to use the newer tools and make the adjustments. I'm hoping that live theater makes a comeback, and actually comes back with something to say. And but I do hear that short film is actually like almost being able to have its own category and be strong in that category, almost like a feature. Have you seen that as a trend lately?
Well, if we look at the the amount of time that people spend, eyeballs watching things, the younger generation, they don't watch television, they don't watch movies, they watch YouTube. So my kids, they're 21, 20, 19, and 16. They watch YouTube the way we used to watch TV. So, hey,
Mm.
what are you watching? They're on their phones, they're watching YouTube. And YouTube, they're giving out, they call it the creator economy. They're paying out billions of dollars, you know, and yes, the answer is yes, 100%. And these are not even slickly produced narrative videos, a lot of them. So yeah, I see YouTube doing to Netflix what Netflix did to linear TV. Why? Because that's where the eyeballs are. These 18, 19, 21 year olds, they're not watching a television series, unless it's a really, really popular one. Certainly don't go to movie theaters. They're watching YouTube, and that's why I also tell my students, it's like, look, film and TV and the way you make money in it has been the same for, over 100 years. We're seeing that change now. And again, you adapt or you die. So it's not that the skills that they're learning are no longer needed. It's where they apply them and how they use them to support a lifestyle for themselves that's in flux.
Wow, I keep saying I've said wow about a million times because this is a very deep perspective, and oftentimes we don't get a chance to hear that. So again, we love your transparency here.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
I want to ask another question, but Shanette, do you have another question?
Well, just to chime up on your point too, like I've noticed on YouTube they do have a lot more series and their own shows popping up a lot more on YouTube. Not only feature length but a lot of shorts and a lot of series. Like I guess that's how isn't that how Issa Rae started with her series? So I see a
Yep.
lot of that coming up.
And the
Um,
use of AI too, because you figure there are no union restrictions,
yeah.
so it's just creators using tools to create content. And the younger generation, they don't care anything about SAG, DGA, Writers Guild, NBC. They don't care about any of that stuff. They just care about what entertains them,
Yep.
So, and they also don't care about, oh, protecting jobs from AI. It's like so you're going to continue to see online that the creator economy continue to grow because it's not limited by unions. And again, of course I'm pro-union. I'm not anti-union, but that makes the cost of productions go up. That's why production is first they were outsourcing production to places like Georgia. because it was cheaper to make movies here than in Los Angeles. But now they're outsourcing stuff to Europe, to India, Australia, because it's even cheaper to make things, in outside of the country than here, in the country. So not only do we have the contraction, fewer productions being made, we also have outsourcing happening with production. Look, that's been happening with manufacturing and these other industries for years now, but it's now starting to happen in film and TV. And you have people who are, union people who haven't worked, and it's not just because of the strike. It's because things have fundamentally changed in how business is done and where business is being done.
Oh yeah. I feel like we're right in the middle of this like nice reset, but still don't really know how everything is gonna settle, but there's so many different, changes going on, and it's like almost like a daily basis where you have to constantly keep up uh with pretty much everything that's going on. But one of the biggest things, though, if you guys are paying attention out there, make sure you learn how to use these tools. Like you said, you have to stay abreast of all the things that are going on. Like learn how to use, if you don't like it, just learn how to use ChatGPT anyway. That's probably one of the biggest ones out there right now. So you got to stay up on it. You know how we are as artists. We got to continuously, evolve and, stay relevant. Otherwise, it's over. So, but anyway, so I got a fun song. I mean, a fun question for you. I can almost.
Okay.
Anyway, I got a fun song question for you. So, if you do some acting, is as well?
I've acted before, yes.
Okay. So, if you were going to step on stage for, like, say they were going to announce you on the stage, you're doing a little theater, right? What would be your theme song coming out?
I ain't no joke. I used to let the mic smoke. Now slam window.
Slam window down to make sure it's broke.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh my God, that was no hesitation, y'all. No hesitation.
Oh yeah. And look, that particular song, it sounds the best like in my car. Just, the kick drum and just, the system in my car. It just, and I can crank it all the way up and it's just like that beat just be knocking. And I'm just like, yeah, this would be the song. Even if, I've never had a surprise party, maybe I'll have one day, and if they played that when I came in.
Yeah, it is.
You kind of look like Rakim. You look a little bit like the man.
Yeah.
Wow.
The light skin version, that's all.
Oh, that took me back. One of my favorite rappers of all time. Like I had the tape, the cassette tape, and
Yeah.
it melted in my tape player in my car. I had to replay it. Not an exaggeration. That Paid in Full was it. It changed it changed everything. I
Yeah.
don't think that the young people really understand where hip hop was, and then how he transcended or how it transcended because of him. You remember he was doing songs with Jody Watley, and that was unheard of. Like I love that kind of boldness because you wasn't supposed to do R&B collabs back in the day at all. It was only two. Grant, not Grandmaster. The Furious Five guy. He did the Shaka Khan. I'm let me rock Shaka Khan.
Yep.
And then it was Jody Wiley and Rakim. So I mean, like all of entertainment has changed over from cassette tapes to DVDs, and now you can watch full movies on your phone.
Yeah.
I mean, who would have ever thought it's like when my dad told me about outhouses and how he had to use an outhouse. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like that's how I feel now with this newer generation. It's like, what? Life without a computer. My daughter doesn't know life without a computer. So
Yeah. I couldn't
it's like,
survive without a computer. I mean, I lived what, probably almost half of my life without one. But I can't, a computer, I can't live without this thing, which is a computer. It's like, so I'm all in on technology. We shooting digitally now. We shot 16 millimeter film when I was in film school. We cut on Steambex, with splicing tape and a splicer. So yeah, I'm definitely, I mean, I'm not a tech head in the sense that I know how to work everything, but yeah, I can't, I can't. LL said and I know I can't live without my radio. I can't live without technology. It's like it wouldn't work. I'd be done.
Yeah, why would you want to with all the cool little gadgets? Like I
Yeah,
have a whole bunch of different gadgets. Like why
yeah,
would you want to? It just makes life a little more fun, I think.
absolutely.
It does destroy our bodies, but we're having fun in the process. So
Absolutely. And I know that we don't have you for much longer, so I did want to ask you kind of one more, I guess. I try to call these questions like bubblegum or kind of tongue in cheek. Uh, this one kind of sounds like it, in my opinion. Uh, what does your personal experience, or how did your personal experiences shape you as you're writing or directing?
Well, I think that disappointment shapes us. Um, it humbles us, and I think that that's important because I think you have to adopt a position of humility to truly understand wisdom and truth. Because if you're arrogant, it's not going to work. Because you're going to be so full of yourself or your perspective that it's going to be incomplete. It's going to be one dimensional. So I think definitely, when I talked about, the plot twist being, whoa, I thought I would have accomplished so much more than I would have by now. The silver lining to that is that I'm humble in a way and more grateful of the opportunities that I do have in ways that I never was. And I do think that's reflected in the work because, my job is to create characters, to create worlds that are believable and that people emotionally invest in and ultimately transformed by. So, yeah, absolutely. My trajectory has influenced me personally, and then my work is, of course, a reflection of myself.
Excellent.
okay. And then before we go, can you tell us a little bit about an unusual suspect?
Yes. So, an unusual suspect. It's a legal thriller, and I should have my log line at the ready, which I don't. But it's a story of an ambitious young attorney trying to make a name for herself, and she takes on a pro bono case to get off a young black man wrongly convicted. And during the course of her getting this man exonerated, she realizes that there's far more to this case than she ever realized. And the comps that I was given, that Tubi gave me before I started writing, was Primal Fear and The Usual Suspects. So it's a dark, twisty legal thriller that I'm excited to screen this month, actually October 20th, as the closing night film for the Real Sisters of the Diaspora Film Festival in New York, which is the first Academy Award qualifying film festival for films about women. So I'm excited about that. And it premieres on Tubi on March 28th, 2025. It stars Christy Leverett as Viola January, our intrepid young attorney. And I think it's my best work yet. So I look forward to you all checking that out whenever it comes out.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I'm
So
excited.
is that your genre? Is that thriller? Because you did a Christmas movie,
I did a
and
Christmas movie, a faith-based, family-friendly Christmas musical. Then I did a sexy psychological thriller, and now I'm doing a legal thriller. And I was never, I mean, I didn't watch Christmas movies. I can't say that I had a penchant for doing thrillers either. But whenever an opportunity comes your way and you get hired to do something, you know what you do? It.
Yeah, there you go.
exactly.
There you go.
Wow, I would have had no idea because a lot of the filmmakers I know a lot, and they are writers as well. They are genre based. They say this is my lane. I know it. I'm going to stick with it, and it's such a big deal. Or it seems like it's a bigger deal when they step outside of it, or more of a risk. So you don't seem to feel that, or do you feel like you have a genre?
Well, I'm a writer director for hire. That's what I do. Now, if you're doing independent work, you have the luxury of saying this is what I do because you're working independently. But I'm being hired by networks, streamers, and this is what they want. And even, those same networks, same streamers, there's just they only interested in you pitching certain things to them. So either you can pitch what they want, or you can continue doing your independent films, and that's not a knock. This is a tough hustle. I personally can't afford to be working for free and hoping that, down the line I'm going to make money. I don't have that luxury of time, so. I'm a writer director for hire. So if someone comes at me and they want me to write and direct a Christmas film, cha-ching. Want me to write and direct a psychological thriller, cha-ching. Legal thriller, cha-ching. I'm there.
Okay. And before we get out of here, there are a lot of aspiring writer directors, specifically writers, someone that never written before, they wake up one day and they're like, you know what, I want to be a writer. What would you, and they have no money because they want to be an artist. Start off broke. What kind of like advice and direction would you kind of, tell them to go into?
Sure. Well, I mean, we are in a time, for the first time in human history, where most people on the planet write every single day, literally, in the form of text messages,
Mm.
in the form of emails. Writing is writing. So, and we all tell stories. You tell stories to your homegirl, you tell stories to your homeboy, to your dad, to your mom. Something happens to you, what do? You come and you tell the what story, and you tell it in such a way so that it's engaging, so that people are invested in it, and so that they emotionally respond. So my what I would tell them is to write. I use Google Drive. You don't have to write stories per se. You just have to write, starting with just 15 minutes a day. We waste more than 15 minutes a day. You just write. You may have ideas for characters. You may have ideas for stories, because as important as the idea is the discipline of doing the work. Uh, and once you write, if you want to direct, then you shoot it. The thing of it is, I think people think that if you say write and direct, oh, I can't do that because I have to do something that's commercially viable, something that someone has to see. No, you just have to do it, and you have to learn it. And again, with this thing right here, you can both write, shoot, edit, and distribute globally with this thing right here, which is unbelievable and incredible when you think about it. And if you need training, there's YouTube videos, there's books, and yes, I'm a film school professor, and yes, I believe there's value in that. But you don't have to go to film school to be a writer, to be a director, to be an actor. You don't have to. You can actually do. And most people who say they want to do, they don't want to. Because if they did, they wouldn't need me to tell them that they literally can put together an entire film and distribute it globally, literally, no exaggeration, with this thing right here that lives with us in our pockets and goes with us everywhere that we go.
It's a hard argument for somebody opposing it. That's for sure.
I want to do, and I'll close out and say that was the last question. So I don't really get on the phone with people, as much as I used to, because often it's like, you know what, I'm not taking my time to talk to you when there's so much information available that you can find out before you get to me, you know. But when I did talk to people, there were far more people who just wanted to talk than who wanted to do, because I didn't have to talk to anybody for them to tell me, I'm at Norfolk State as an undergraduate student. I was a mass communications major. That program focused on, electronic news gathering for news and that kind of a thing. But no one had to tell me to take my little 8 millimeter video camera and shoot, little films with my brother and my girlfriend at the time. And no one had to tell me to do that. No one had to tell me to write a letter to Spike Lee that he obviously never got. No one had to tell me these things. So most people, oh yeah, I want. There's so much information available now, with the internet and and forget internet, libraries. Who even goes to libraries? Who reads books? Amazon. You can literally get any book that you want. But it's far more talkers in this world than doers, because the doers, you don't even have to give them a whole lot of guidance, because they're on it and doing things.
Yeah.
I have
Regardless, right? If you're gonna do something, you're gonna do it regardless. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I have a friend. He says, "Doers don't talk and talkers don't do." And Yeah, shout out to my man Tyreek for that one. I think about that a lot. So if I'm feeling lazy, if I feel like talking, then I know I'm not doing. So there you go.
True. All right, y'all. So we ready to go into the martini round. Before we get into this round, Booker, I would love for you to tell everybody where can they find you? Where can they find all your content? Put all your social media, whatever you need to say. That's all.
Sure. If you Google my name, Booker T Mattison, Booker T, you can't not know that part, but my last name is Matt, like Tom Ison, Booker T Mattison. It all pops up. Booker T Mattison on Facebook, on Instagram, Vimeo, LinkedIn. It's all there. Pages upon pages of stuff. So Google the name and everything you need to know will pop up, and also how to connect with me.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna ask you 5 good questions. Well, it's gonna be 6, but don't worry about that.
Okay.
Who's counting? All right, ready? So,
Yes.
Booker, what do you prefer, cats or dogs?
Dogs, and I love my dog Ollie. I absolutely love him. He's a
Oh,
Shih Tzu, and he'll be 5 in November.
love it, love it, love it. Okay. What is your favorite season? Summer, winter, spring, or fall?
All of them, and I've thought about this because they each have attributes that I enjoy, so I do love them all equally.
Nice. Okay, you're a seasonal kind of guy. Okay.
Yes, I'm like Lowry's.
Yeah, nice.
Love that. Okay. Um, okay, now tell me, what is your favorite smell?
Cherry.
Oh, cherry. Okay.
I just went to AutoZone and got me another cherry air freshener to put, the ones you tear open and put under the seat of your car.
Mhm.
Yeah, cherry. I love for my car to smell like cherry.
You didn't do black eyes?
Black ice is cool, man, but it can't hold a candle to cherry.
No, I'm playing that. That's quintessentially. It's
Yeah,
like
the,
our.
the, the tree the
I don't.
tree you hang on your what is it, the mirror back in the day. And look, people still
Yeah.
keep the trees. I just don't want that obstruction, in front of my windshield.
There you go. Don't give them a reason to pull you over. All right, Booker, what is your go-to shoe? Like your more.
Slides. I love for my toes to be out. So when it gets cold and I have to put on shoes, it's kind of a bummer because now I have my UFOs, which are very comfortable. My UFO slides, I just walk out and it's like I'm walking on marshmallows.
Oh wow. Okay, so
Wow.
slides. And then the last question, what ice cream flavor describes you?
Neapolitan. Three
Oh.
different flavors in one box.
Okay, okay. Neapolitan. All right, Booker. Before we go, if you could think of one person that you would love to see come on our show, um, who would you recommend to come on here and be one of our guests? Who do you think?
Teddy Alexander Bishop. He is the composer for my 3 feature films. He has a brilliant musical history, and he's a super talented composer. And I'll use him for every movie that I make. So yeah, Teddy Alexander Bishop would be a great guest, and
Oh,
I'm happy to connect you all as well.
yeah, we'd love that. We've never had a composer on the show either, so that would be different. Hmm.
Wow. Yeah, that's yes. Oh, we love it. There's so many other aspects of film, and I think that it's about time for the people that only make the call sheet to actually, get a little bit of shine because outside of that little list and your number, and then you got to kind of, find it. You know how you had to do. You had to line them up and find them or
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, George
Uh,
Lucas says that sound is 50% of a movie, and he's absolutely 100% correct. And of course, sound is, dialogue, sound effects, and also music, which, is score. So, yeah, I mean, if you're interested in having a composer on, that
Yeah,
would be cool.
yeah, we sure are. So definitely, Marlon, make that happen for sure.
Yes, I will do. And so, Booker T Mattison, thank you very, very much for coming through. We really, really appreciate it. You came through on a short week too, so we appreciate. I know that you're a very busy person. Wow, thank you. What a great interview. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna. You dropped some jewels, some real gems here, and this would be great to go back and just kind of listen to that wisdom there. That wisdom right there.
Thank you both for having me, and thank you for asking uh, good questions, because the answers are only as good as the questions. So I appreciate you all having me on.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh,
Don't be surprised if we reach back out next year.
Hey,
Drop.
let's do it. Look, y'all need to have me back on, right before An Unusual Suspect comes out, in like mid-March. I'd be happy to come on, because then at least I could point people to the clicks for the movie. So let me know.
That's what I was thinking about. So yeah, we'll be in contact for sure.
Okay, great.
For sure. All right, Booker. Well, thank you guys for another episode. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next one.
all right. All right. And do not forget to hit your mark and like, subscribe, and follow us on all social media. Follow Booker T Mattison on all social media. And we are out of here. Peace.
Thanks for watching Actors Endurance Podcast, home of the resilient artist. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe.